What up? What up? What's going on? And welcome back to another episode of the AFYL Podcast. Jay Moore, the healthy accountant, helping you to account for life. What an awesome and incredible day. Today, we're getting into step number 5 of fixing my business finances. And I'm super excited because this process is the process that's going to not just help myself, but it's going to help any faith-driven entrepreneur, someone who's saying to themselves, man, I have to get to the next level. And man, I have to fix the thing called this money situation in my business and especially in my life. And this process that we're going through this week, all the way to step number 7, and we're on step number 5, is going to be that process. And we're going to use this process over and over and over again. I am persuaded that this is what can help people who would like that kind of help. So with that said, be sure, wherever you're watching this, listening to this podcast or broadcast or video, make sure you subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, subscribe to our channel, download this, iTunes, Google, download this, share it with someone else also. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. But before you subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit the the like button. YouTube loves it when people like a post. So when you like it, then they'll say, okay, you know what? People like it. We can show it to more people similar to you. So do that. That'll be awesome and incredible. We do this podcast specifically because I know there are people just like me who may be having these issues in their life when it comes to account for their life, when it comes to their money, their finances, their health, their wealth. That's why I do it. I do it so that not just I get nothing out of this. It doesn't cost any money for anybody to hear this or see this, and that's why I'm doing it, to help people around this world to account for their life in a better way. So with that said, we are jumping into step number 5. Before we go in, let's quick recap. Step number 1 was rejecting 3 things. It was rejecting the idea of getting rich slow. We got to reject that idea. Don't let anybody say, hey, is this a get rich quick scheme? Then you should say, you better hope so, because, by default, most people have, giving themselves over to the stay broke for the rest of their life scheme. So we got to reject the idea of getting rich slow. So reject that idea. You want to also remove time from money. This is a big one. Most people go hourly. Most people track their hours. No, we want to create value so that we don't have to worry about time when it comes to our money. And then lastly, commit to being better. You got to be the best. You got to be the one of one. And that's what this podcast is about. There's no one like Jay Moore, the healthy accountant. Step number 2 was, sales is the lifeblood of your business. And so you've got to embrace the fact that, without sales, you don't have a business. And so that was step number 2. Number 3, conviction. It's the conviction that's going to make everything. Being convicted. I am fully persuaded that this process is the process that not only I will use, that thousands of people will wind up using so that they can fix their business finances. And then yesterday was, we got to remove fear. There can be no fear. You got to remove competition. You're not competing against anybody. If you were competing, you would be competing against yourself, and you can win that game. You can win that game. So we got to remove fear and competition. And by doing that, you accept being creative, accepting that God created you to create stuff. He made you to make stuff. And because of that, you can move to a new level. And today we are going to jump into step number 5. And see, everything that you and I have to do in this process is about changing our mind. We have to change our mind about something. And by changing our minds, we become changed. Romans 12:2 says, be not conformed to this world. Be not conformed to the pattern of this world. Be not conformed, meaning, do you know what conformity is? Conformity is doing everything like everybody else. So you can't be conformed to how everybody else is doing things. You got to become a one of one. So be not conformed to this world. but be transformed. Anybody here would like a transformation today? If you could be transformed today, if you could literally become the person you always dreamed about, or maybe you didn't dream about a person. What if you could have everything you've ever desired to have? What if you could have that today? Anybody here want that? I know I do. So if that's you, then you gotta be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewing of your mind. When your mind changes, everything will change. You will be able to test God's will for you in your own life. You would know. You'll be able to see it in your life. I love that verse. All right, today it's all about growth. Growth. It's all about growth. Everything is about growing. And so the question I have right now, why do things grow? So you're at the point where you are ready to start moving. And because you're ready to start moving, we got to say, well, if I'm ready to start moving, then something has to grow. So if we answer that question, because there was a plan and because there is a seed, everything that grows starts in seed form. So you're at the point where you are using the seed in order to get to the next level. So we take the seed of possibility, right? I love, there's a book that was written by a guy named Patrick Bet-David, and it's called Doing the Impossible. And in that book, he laid out 25 ways to do the impossible. And he talked about faith. You got to have faith. And you know that there's a scripture that talks about faith of a mustard seed. And he just went in on having faith and how faith can help a person to do the impossible. So when we're talking about a seed, think about how small a seed is. A seed is so tiny. Well, most seeds, like technically, like if we look at like a mango seed, it's a pretty big, it's not a small seed, but in general, a seed is small compared to what it becomes. So a seed is small and you have to have faith, but do you? Do you have faith that the mango seed will produce mangoes? You don't actually. See, when we move from just merely having faith to knowing, you know that the mango seed will produce mangoes. You don't have any doubt about it. Now, how long it takes, whether or not if you put it in the wrong soil, is it going to grow properly? Is it going to grow to the right size? All those things takes a little bit more effort, and it takes something called like if you're in the wrong environment, then that seed might not produce. So there has to be an environment that does the production for us. But we have to first start with the seed. And that's where the plan comes in. There has to be a plan. Like a plan is the design. A plan is the design of how things work. You know, one of the processes that I've taken myself through was planning out a growth strategy. When I say it's the initial picture of what the strategy looks like. And when I say picture, it literally a picture of if you follow the picture, what you would see is if, you know, you got this process. Hey, I got a podcast. Hey, I've got a Facebook ad, an Instagram ad, you know, maybe there's some other content. All those things start the growing process. And then from there, maybe there's a call to action, you know, that leads them to something else. Hey, did they go to the landing page? Is there a like literally there's a picture of landing page or challenge or whatever it is you're run, and you just walk yourself through how this plan is going to work. Now, but before we just go out creating the plan, one of the ideas is, who? See, this is where it all begins. Who can I help? I remember several weeks ago, something said faith-driven entrepreneurs. And I had never really spoken specifically to faith-driven entrepreneurs. That's not everybody. Faith-driven entrepreneurs. Now, I do mention the Bible. I do mention God a lot. I do all that all the time. Now, I just start talking about this faith-driven entrepreneur. I'm a faith-driven entrepreneur. And what I'm discovering is that there's more confusion in faith-driven entrepreneurs than I really understood. Until recently, I started talking to faith-driven entrepreneurs, meaning literally asking them questions. I'm having calls. I asked someone a question recently, and they really don't know how to grow their thing. They don't know how to do it. Now, they may have been exposed to growth. See, most people are exposed to growth. They were exposed to growth. They just don't know how to do it. And that's one of the things I'm just trying to figure that one out. Now, here's the thing. So what I'm saying is, wow, that's interesting. So typically we know what we want. We know what we want to do. We know what we want to do. Sometimes they actually know who they can help, but they don't know really what they want to help with. Now let's look at this. What do they want? What do the people that you want to help want help with? See, this is the problem. This is the problem for faith-driven entrepreneurs. A faith-driven entrepreneur sometimes has their thing that they want to use, has their service they want to give, has their program they want to offer. But here's the thing: is that the thing that the people want? I heard from one of my mentors. He says he doesn't create programs. He said, I don't create programs based on what I want to do. He says, I create programs based on the problem somebody else wants help with. I was just like, man, I never thought about it from that perspective. At least years ago. I think about it now. But years ago, when I was starting out, I just said, man, everybody has to have an accountant. Now, you're right. Every businesses do need accountants. It's one of these services that a business has to have it, because if they don't have it, then they're probably going to wind up in some issues. Everybody has to file a tax return. But here's the thing: what order do they do it? Do they look to the accountant first? Do they look to the tax person first? But we want them to. But the question is, are they thinking right now, man, I got to go get the taxes. I got to go get, the accountant. Now, there's some people who are. Now, if that's the case, then the goal is, if I know that they want help with it, my job, right, is to then figure out, well, what can I do to help them? Then literally, how would people say yes to me if they don't know me? How would they say yes to me? So then that means that I've got to help them. One of my mentors in marketing, his name's Frank Kern. Frank Kern says you got to help them. You got to help them so that you can help them. So you help them first, and then they know they got helped. And then they're like, wow, he helped me. So he helped me already. Wow, this is good. And then they say, well, you know what? Maybe you can help me. So you got to help them with what it is they want help with, but you got to know exactly what that is. Now, and I'm going to take it into my industry. Here's what I've discovered. Yes, people need help with accounting. Yes, people need help with taxes. One of the things that I'm finding out is people don't know how to manage money. People are having a hard time with managing money. People are having a hard time with growing money. People are having a hard time getting more money into their business. So money, just the idea of money, is what people are thinking about. They may not necessarily be thinking about taxes and accounting, even though that's an area that I want to talk about. I can't do that. And I've done that for many years. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing the Fix My Business Finances steps, because I'm changing in the process. I'm discovering exactly what has to be my goals. My goals are not mine. My goals are to help people with what they want help with. You know what I'm saying? Then the question is, how can I show them I can help? It's like, well, man, I'm creating a series of videos, Fix My Business Finances. And from these series of videos, what I'm realizing is that this is going to be a good introduction for This probably is more than likely for those who are smaller. They're not they could be at six figures already and got stuck. They may not necessarily be at seven figures, right? Seven figures is different level, and we have a different conversation for them. But barely six figures and beginning, yes, these are the individuals that if they get it fixed early, then they won't have the big problems later, right? So how do I show them? I'm showing them through a series of videos, and then I'm going to show them through helping them continuously get focused on what it is that they have to focus on. Then I say, well, what process should I create to show them? See, because you have to have a process. Remember, we talked about in the very beginning, the growth process, right? In the growth process, what we're doing is that we're designing a way to get to the people we want to get to. And then as we're designing a way to get to those people, then we're showing them, giving them a way to see that we can help them. And then from there, we're giving them a way to go to the next step, right? And then now I only talk to you about three different ways now, but then once they get to that next step, they get to the final step, right? Which is, how valuable is this, or will this be for them? Because really, when it comes to them, it's not that, hey, this is about me. No, it's about them. It's about how valuable it is to them. And people buy, right? People buy. Why don't people buy? Why do you buy? Many people and most people buy when they realize that when it's valuable to them. So when I give a price, when I say my price is $5,000, when they look at the price of $5,000, when I look at a $5,000 price, I'm trying to figure out how can I take how is that $5,000 worth 10 or 20 or 30? Like literally, I'm in the process of doing this right now. I'm looking to make some investments into my business. I've been structuring a few things so that I can make some investments into my business. And I'm looking at the investments like, well, which one is the fastest path? It's not like, tomorrow, but which one is the fastest path? So when I spend $5,000 or $10,000, how fast can I get the 10 back? How fast can I get 20, 30 on top of that? So when someone gives a price, the value of it, right, is when they look at it and see themselves moving faster. But then that's when you get to that point where it's just like, all right, they know it's valuable, right? Then what do? Once they know it's valuable, what do? You say, hey, would you like my help doing that? See, when we fix our business finances, we go from is not having a plan. We go from not having a process. We go from not understanding our audience and our ideal customers. We then know all their pains, their problems. We literally have been thinking about it and obsessing about it so much. One of the things that I see in a lot of small faith-driven entrepreneurs is, one, they have a problem with consistency. They have a problem with being competitive, and they're looking at everybody else, and they have a fear that they're not enough. Like I literally see this people, I don't know if I'm enough. I don't really know what I've been created to do. Who cares? You don't need to know. See, that's where a lot of faith-driven entrepreneurs get stuck, is because they're like, I don't know what my purpose is. You don't need to know your purpose. I didn't know my purpose when I started making money. Money doesn't respect your purpose. That's not it. Money does not do that. Money says, well, if you do what you have to do, if you do the right things, then I will come to you. But if you don't do anything, it's not happening. So yeah, it's great to know your purpose. What I've discovered about purpose is that the more you act, the more you move, the closer you get to your purpose. That's just plain and simple. No action, no discovery, no movement, no purpose. So if we don't move, if we stay stuck like Chuck in the pickup truck, then what do we get? Here's what happens when we don't move. There's a physics law. It's called the law of inertia. You heard of that? An object at rest will stay at rest until acted upon by an outside force. That's the law of inertia. And so a lot of faith-driven entrepreneurs, they are in inertia. They're not moving because they're in wonder. They're wondering, is this really the thing that I'm supposed to do? I'm not too sure what my purpose is. What is my unique calling and gifting? Great. Here's the thing. Those things don't matter when it comes to the marketplace. The only thing that matters in the marketplace is that we're solving a problem for someone else. We've obsessed about the problem that somebody else has more than they have. And because of that, when we ask them, would you like my help? They automatically say, I would be an idiot not to take you up on it. We talked about that in sales, creating an irresistible offer. And because it's so irresistible, they say yes. And when they don't say yes, they feel like an idiot. So here's the thing. The moral of step number 5 in fixing my business finances is discovering why do things grow? Why do they grow? And we went through a few areas because there was a plan, because there was a seed. Asking yourself, who can you help? Coming back and saying, what do they want help with? And then what can I help them? Then what can I do to help them? Right? Because you got to put yourself in there. And how can I show them I can help? These are all the questions. What process should I create? Right? How valuable is this for them? And then lastly, when we ask them if they need our help, they say yes, or they realize, man, that was a really good offer. So fixing your business finances, is in step number 5 is figuring out how do things grow, and then taking yourself through the process of literally creating a picture of how it would work so that you can repeat it over and over again, so that your finances at the end of the day will be fixed, and that won't be the problem for your business not growing. Then it'll be possibly something else. Tomorrow we're going to get into what happens next when things start growing, when sales start being made. Tomorrow we'll get into that next step and how to fulfill and how to deliver the transformation that your clients and customers should have. All right, guys, that's it for today. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And if you got value from this program, be sure to share it with someone else. My name is Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant, helping you to account for your life. God bless, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the Healthy Accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.